Hello, my laser loving friends. Welcome to Laser Secrets, the podcast that's all about giving you the knowledge, confidence, and the skills you need to be the best aesthetic laser practitioner possible. I'm your host, Jamie. I'm a laser obsessed med spa owner, medical esthetician, laser specialist, and passionate educator in the world of medical aesthetics. Today's episode is part of my Fast Science series, where we take laser concepts and make them simple, actionable, and easy to understand. Today, we're diving into spot size, what it actually does, why it matters in every treatment, and how to get used to using it to get better results without overtreating and underwhelming. In this episode, I'll give you a quick understanding of how spot size affects laser behavior, how it interacts with depth, fluence, and penetration, when to use smaller versus larger spot sizes, and the inverted triangle analogy that I hope will really help you to visualize this and put it all together so you can start using it and understanding how to use your laser more efficiently today. Okay, let's get to it. Spot size is the diameter of the laser beam at the surface of the skin. It's measured in millimeters. You'll see options like 2 millimeter, 6 millimeter, 10, and so on, all depending on your device. So it influences three major things. So first of all is depth of penetration. Next is fluence, which is energy per centimeter square. Third is treatment coverage and speed. And it's not just about how much area you can cover, it directly impacts how effective and safe the treatment can be. So let's get to the visual. I really love this, and this really helped it sink in for me. It's the inverted triangle analogy. So picture an inverted triangle. At its base, it's on the surface of the skin. So it narrows as it goes deeper. Laser energy follows that path. It enters wide and narrows as it travels deeper into the tissue. But here's the catch. As energy travels down through the triangle and into the skin, it actually loses power. This is called attenuation. Some of it is absorbed, some of this energy actually backscatters, and some dissipates as it moves through tissue. A smaller spot size starts with a smaller, more narrow triangle base, which means the energy doesn't reach very far. It stays superficial. A larger spot size starts with a wider triangle base, so the energy can travel a little bit deeper into the skin before it essentially loses steam. This is why larger spot sizes are great for deeper penetration. Smaller spot sizes are more superficial. So let's connect this to fluence and how much energy is being delivered per unit of area. The basics are fluence is joules divided by centimeters squared. So it's energy divided by area. If you increase the spot size, you increase the area. So the fluence actually drops. If you decrease the spot size, the area shrinks, so the fluence goes up. Which means if you have a spot size of 20 and you're using a fluence of, say, 20 joules, that is going to be spread over a larger area. And think of that inverted triangle. It's going to be a larger area, but that means also the energy is dissipating because you're still using 20 joules. If you go to a 5 millimeter spot size and you're still using 20 joules, that is a heavily concentrated area of energy being used. So, really when we're thinking about what treatment, you must keep that in consideration. And you really must recheck fluences. Some devices auto-adjust. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm a fan of us knowing our laser physics. And as long as our devices are calibrated properly, we should be able to go up to any device and understand how to use it. So I'm really big on everyone to understand truly the real physics behind this. Okay, so let's then match spot size to wavelength with some really common treatment goals. And I'm sure, if you're a laser technician already, this isn't going to be anything foreign to you. But just to kind of think about like, okay, when we want that energy to be more concentrated and shallow, how that spot size really matters versus dissipating it a little more with a larger spot size. For superficial treatments like pigmentation, small vessels like telangiectasia, whether you're using a long pulse 532 or a long pulse 1064 Nd:YAG, we typically use the smaller spot sizes. For my Quanta Evo Lightstar, I love to use between a 2 and a 5 millimeter spot size, depending on which vessel I'm treating. Going into our Alexandrite, 755 nanometers. This is a little more mid-depth. We use this a lot for our hair removal treatments. And spot sizes of like 10 to 18 can be really great for our hair removal. And it's because, as you drop those spot sizes too, you can go a little higher with the Fluence as far as like what your device will let you do. But again, always triple check those settings. I've said this before in a previous episode, but you cannot unring a bell. You can never have too many safety checks when it comes to prepping your client, making sure, they haven't been on antibiotics or changed to photosensitizing medications, and triple check those settings before you fire. Next, I'm getting off my little rant there with, if you're using the 1064 Nd:YAG, again, for hair removal, this is great for our darker skinned clients, also targeting those deeper follicles, but typically we'll see, the spot size of like 12 and up for that. So wavelength gives you potential depth. Spot size helps you get there efficiently. So when we're really thinking about this again, let's really, really lock in some of these fundamentals. Larger spot size equals deeper penetration. You still get that backscatter. It dissipates. Smaller spot size is more superficial, but you can really have a more intense treatment area. Again, that Fluence, you can have a 20 joule Fluence, joules by centimeter squared in a large spot size and use the same 20 joules in a smaller spot size. That smaller spot size is going to be a much more intense treatment. One little side note too I want to mention is when you're doing tattoo removal. Now, this is done only with our Q-switch or Pico laser technologies. The reason why I say that is because I'm still seeing some places using the wrong type of laser for tattoo ink. And this is a big no-no. If you're someone who's been in the industry, you're probably like, oh, seriously, no doubt. Do you really have to say it? But unfortunately, we do. I see it even in our own area. And what happens is if you're using the wrong kind of laser, or you're using like a photothermal or long pulse laser, it's like hitting that ink with a lightning strike. You're going to basically boil that ink to the surface, and that creates a pretty significant wound. That wound will scab falls off, there's a scar left. And we just do not want that for our client's skin. So when you use something like a Q-switch or Pico, it's more of a photoacoustic type of mechanism. So think of like that earthquake of energy versus that lightning strike. So that inertia of the energy is going down into the skin and breaking apart that ink. So really, when you're doing tattoo removal with a Q-switch or Pico, those early sessions, a larger spot size is actually recommended because you are dissipating that Fluence a little more and you're shattering that surface pigment. As you get deeper into the tattoo, I really love to adjust down my spot size because then I can go a little higher in Fluence and I can reach those deeper particles that are stubborn. And, tattoo removal is one of the few times where you shrink the spot size and increase the Fluence. This is because as the ink fades, you want to get deeper, and that requires a higher Fluence for tattoo removal. I will do some episodes coming up here on laser tattoo removal and even permanent makeup removal because that is one of my favorite, like absolute favorite treatments to do, and I love to talk about it. So just to recap, larger spot size equals deeper penetration, smaller spot size, more superficial but more intense. Think about those inverted triangles. Always, always, always recheck that Fluence when you're changing spot size, and even before you fire, even if you're like, okay, I've done these treatments 1,000 times, always please triple check those settings because we cannot unring a bell and we want the best for all of our clients and great results. Safety is first and foremost. So when you really understand how to use spot size with your wavelength, you get smarter, safer, and more predictable outcomes, which is what we all want. Really, I highly recommend don't let your machine auto pick. If you have a machine that is just like hair removal, fits 3, still really, really think about this. And even if your machine is an auto pick type of thing, if you can set it in manual, I really recommend that. But once you truly understand like how changing one thing affects another, really what I want for you is to really be able to go up to any of your devices. And like I said, as long as they're calibrated properly, you will know how to use them, how to get the better results, how to troubleshoot also, because sometimes we have clients that come in and sometimes the tissue we're affecting just isn't responding the way textbook wise would tell us. So that way you can really know your equipment. Okay, my laser loving friends, this was a quick one today, but I really wanted to chat about that. This wraps up today's Fast Science episode. I hope this discussion on spot size has been useful. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow aesthetic pros. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or interested in working with me directly, I do consulting. Send me a DM on at Laser Secrets Consulting. You can follow the links in the bio of the show. Until next time, stay confident, stay curious, and here's to having the best laser results ever.